All right, welcome. Our plot shifts to Florence, and the three of them, Greg, Xander, and Ayla, they're on their way to the taxi, to the airport. Okay, they've left behind Plunk, kind of sad. The question is, are we going to see him again in the book or not? Obviously, Xander feels extremely guilty about leaving his best friend at in Istanbul. Okay, they parted ways. Plunk kind of understood. However, it was a painful, very painful thing for Greg to leave behind his best friend. He thinks back of something that his father said that night that his brother John committed suicide. His dad said dit kon eerder jy gewees het. It could have been you, kind of implying it should have been you. It should not have been John. He was far more talented. He was always the dad's favorite. So Greg can kind of feel what it feels like when someone doesn't choose you. It is painful, especially if it's among siblings. If your parent favors one sibling above others, it can be a horrible, destructive feeling. The dad always put a lot of pressure by Dirk on John, and maybe that is what cracked him. That is what eventually led to him taking pills and committing suicide. We just don't know. So they think back of the adventure they had there in Istanbul, the escape. It was definitely not the police knocking on their door. These were die baker wat mans gestuur het. Definitely the baker sending men. So he's very powerful. He's got money, he's got reach, he's got influence. Okay. So Greg is a bit nervous. Okay. So he's got these Belgian passports, Belgische paspoorte. And he's not sure if it's going to get them through the douane. Douane is customs. Very strange word for customs. I would also be nervous if I'm flying in Europe with fake passports. You just never know. Okay, you bought these things on the dark web. There's no telling whether they're going to work or not. So Xander gets let through, right? No problem. Ayla's through. Then the official stops Greg. Says, no, let me just have a look. Pages through his passport. Blaai deur sy passport. Then he's like, goes to his computer, types something in the computer, and Greg is just like so nervous he can't even breathe. He feels like he's going to have a nervous breakdown. The suspense, the tension there of waiting for this guy to check his passport. Eventually, he comes through. Xander's like, why are you sweating so much? What's wrong with you? It's like, chill. Okay, eventually they land in Rome at the Leonardo da Vinci airport. That is the airport. And they drive past the Colosseum, famous landmarks, okay, in Rome. And then they book into this hotel. Yeah, there's a picture of the hotel. Beautiful. Okay, a hotel, Domus Florence. I googled what the rooms inside would look like. That's the room that Greg would have stayed in. That's the kind of room it would have looked like. No doubt with beautiful views on the outside. Greg gets comfortable in his room. He's still thinking about Plunk and is consumed by skuld, by guilt. Then suddenly Ayla and Xander burst into his room. There's progress. There's major progress in chapter 47. Okay. Hulle het goeie nuus. That Trojan that they planted worked, and they have backdoor access to the whole of the baker's computer. Okay, so now they're in the same place as him, and they also have access to his computer. So they're literally getting a lot closer. Okay. Chapter 48, Deure en vensters, doors and windows. Okay. Xander en Greg verken die baker's computer. What is on this man's computer? This is fascinating. There's no email. Okay. So he's obviously using an online kind of style email. I don't think many people use them anymore. That's how email started off as. Or he's only using Telegram, so his communication cannot be hacked in any way. They go to his Firefox online history. Okay, what's his browsing history? It's been deleted. Okay, but they can see there that he does visit some news websites, the New York Times, News 24, medical websites, some medical articles, something about CRISPR. Okay, we'll learn more about what that is later. It's what he's been reading about. Interesting, they can access his music, his Spotify. He listens to opera and classical music. That is super creepy. Okay, that he would even listen to that. This is his favorite piece, Nuages Gris. Okay, I can't say it. That's what he listens to. I don't think that's important. Maybe if you want to really if you're really into the book, pop that into your Spotify and see what it listens like, what it sounds like. I didn't bother. Okay, I don't want to know what the baker listened to. And it was a very heavy piano piece. Okay, it's like somber, proper, dramatic piano. I'm not a piano fan really, so I'm not going to bother. Okay. So as the music's playing, Greg is kind of imagining how the baker is sitting there in his chair, listening to this piano pieces, this evil man brooding up evil plans in his head while he's listening to music. It reminds him of that evening at the party where Dr. Rian Trollop, that creepy guy that John didn't like, remember? How he was at that party at their house and he was dancing away with his wife to that piano piece there, sort of gliding across the dance floor. And he remembers John's reaction. He's like, oh, this guy freaks me out. He's weird. Okay. They go to his photo album. What images does this evil man have on his computer? It's only a photo of a black dog. Okay, that is strange. Anyway, they do get a hidden file, a weggesteekte lag. That's my translation. I hope it's right. See if your teacher agrees. But it's full of encrypted documents, and this is important for later. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I can't hide this. This hidden file full of encrypted documents. It's a lot of stuff. And it's encrypted, so you kind of like, it must be important, right? Okay, it must be evidence. So they download the whole thing. Okay, but it's encrypted. They can't access it. I'm not exactly sure what encrypted means. If it's just a password or if you must write code to unlock it, I don't know. But these hacker boys will know. Okay. Then Greg remembers to always look in people's trash, right? People throw things away or delete things that they don't want other people to see. And there he gets an account, a rekening. There's no name on it, just the occupant, and then bam, there is the man's address. Lungarno Americo Vespucci 32 Firenze, Florence 50123. That is his address. Okay, so they're making rapid progress. They're onto this guy. They're seriously onto him. Okay, it's right on the other side of Florence, within walking distance from where Greg and Zander and Ayla are staying, in this hotel. Late that night, Greg is like, stuff this, I can't sleep. Hy besluit, he decides to walk to the baker's address. Okay, he walks to the little alleys late at night and he watches the baker's house. And from the window you can hear, sure enough, there's the piano music from the baker's house. And Greg kind of closes his eyes to, I'm not sure why he closes his eyes. And then it says he doesn't know if he fell asleep or what, but I don't think he'll be falling asleep, surely not. So I'm not sure. That didn't really make sense to me in the book. But anyway, when he opens his eyes, there's a man and a woman outside on the terrace with a glass of wine. I'll show you what it looks like now. Okay, that street, and they're looking straight at Greg. Now, whether they see him or not, I'm not sure, but they probably spotted him. Okay, if I can judge by events later in the book. At this stage, we don't know, did he see Greg or not? Okay. Right, chapter 49. Perfectie uit die onperfecte. Perfect from the imperfect. Okay, this refers to this kind of art, right? There's a marble rock, and guys like Michelangelo obviously chipped the rock away to release these strong figures. Okay, Greg wants to talk about Planck. He feels that it's a topic that is hanging heavily between them, and obviously Zander plays it quite cool. He's just like, no, the guy had to go, he was trouble. Zander is verbaasd dat Greg hom bo Planck gekies het. He's like, he chose me ahead of Planck, your friend. That's interesting. And then Zander makes it clear that Planck is not welcome. If he finds them there in Florence, which, remember, Greg encouraged him to do, that was his last words to him, find us in Florence. He says, Planck, he's not welcome here, he must get lost. Okay. Zander, as they're talking, he noticed, he said, I noticed, where were you the previous evening? You weren't in your room. What happened? Where were you? So Greg spills it. He says, I went to the baker's house. Ek het na die baker se huis toe gegaan. Greg verloor sy meer en gaan stap deur Florence se strate. Obviously Zander gets quite upset. Greg loses his temper, sy meer, and he goes for a walk. Hy loop na die Academia. Hy kyk na Michelangelo se slawe beelde. That's where he walks to. And he goes and watches these slave images, slaves bursting out of the rock. And Academia is quite a busy museum, and there are lots of people, right? Okay, these are struggles from the marble. So this marmer, these slave images are struggling to get out of the marble. There's lots of people milling about, right? So suddenly an old man with grey hair talks to him. He says, beautiful, don't you agree? Hy gee Greg nog, and he gives Greg like random information about Michelangelo. And Greg's like, how do you know all this? Hoe weet jy alles? But then the man disappeared. But a woman answers his question. The doctor knows a lot of things about a lot of things. Okay. Now we don't know who these two people are that he just randomly spoke to him in the crowd. It's a man and a woman. Okay. Was it the baker and his wife? Perhaps. Okay. It leaves us very suspicious. Okay. So there you can see, this is the kind of this is the street that the baker would have lived in, right? Okay. And the terrace that he saw the two people, this is the terrace, and he would have, this is like it's like a balcony, right? Okay, so that's where the baker and his girlfriend, wife, sister, whoever she is, daughter, we don't know, was standing. Okay. Greg gaan wys vir Ayla and waar die baker bly. He goes and shows them where he lives. So they walk next to the Arno River. No, Lugano, Americo Vespucci. This is the Lugano River here. The Arno River. And the road that they're walking up and down here in the story is here. Okay. There's a small Italian old lady. She says, no, the people are not at home. Zander suspects that they saw Greg last night and they probably left their house. The three of, did I add it in here? But Zander goes up to the door and touches the door handle. That's important. But that is obviously locked. The three of them walk back to the hotel. but someone's following them. They get that feeling that someone's following. Iemand agtervolg hulle. It's a black car. Suddenly they decide, no, this is not right. And they start running. Die drie begin hardloop en die kar jaag hulle. Uiteindelik kry hulle a small straat. So eventually they get one of those really small alleys that you can run into where a car can't get into. And the car shoots past them. Greg spots the man behind the steering wheel. It's none other than Oom Dirk, okay, Lisa's dad. Okay, very, very strange to see this man here in Florence. What is he doing there? Is he the baker? All the 1,000,001 questions that we can be asking at this point. Okay, let's go to chapter 50. Teddy bear. Okay. Greg verduidelik vir Zander en Ayla wie Oom Dirk is. They don't know who he is. Okay. Hulle wonder of hy die baker kan wees. Okay. He could be the baker. He was in the police. Perhaps he was also involved in the chemical and biological programs like Project Coast during apartheid. But what is he doing in Florence? They also wonder, and this was quite sharp, they wonder if Planck and Lisa's meeting was purely accidental. Okay? Maybe it was a way for the baker to get closer to Greg and Zander. Okay? Maybe that was just, maybe he arranged that sort of meeting. Okay, so that he can, so that he can spy on Greg and Zander, if you know what I mean. Hulle dink Dirk se van is Skutte. He couldn't quite remember his surname. Someone knocks on the door. It's a courier dropping off a package. Inside there's a brown bear with a pistol. Okay, with a gun inside. Zander ordered it when he was still in Istanbul, and he let the package send to his new location in Florence ahead of time. Zander kind of jokes with Greg, and he points the pistol at him like he's going to shoot him. Okay, but obviously, you kind of, in the next chapter we see it's just a joke, but we kind of know that it's just a joke. He doesn't really want to shoot him. Alright, then they get a note under the door. Okay, so they're still wondering, like, what is Dirk doing here? Did he introduce his daughter to Planck so that he can get closer to Greg and Zander? It's a bit of a far-fetched one, however, not impossible. Okay. In the note it says, Greg, kry my môre oggend 10 uur by die Palazzo Vecchio. Ons moet praat. Los die ander twee clowns by die huis. Die, Dirk. That's the Palazzo. That's like a square there. Okay, that's where he wants to meet. He doesn't want the other two to be there. Zander en Ayla wil saam gaan, maar Greg oortuig hulle om alleen te gaan. He convinces them that he wants to go alone. Zander then says, but Greg, then you must take the gun. And then Greg's like, no, okay, wait, you guys can come with. Just hang around far away from me and just see if I get into trouble or not. The Palazzo Vecchio, the town hall of Florence, Italy. It overlooks the Piazza della Signoria, which holds a copy of Michelangelo's David statue and the gallery of statues in the adjacent Loggia dei Lanzi. That's what it is. That comes from the internet. Okay. So it's the town hall of Florence. That's where he wants them to meet. So it's inside, it's big, right? Lots of rooms. So Dirk's going to wait inside one of these rooms for them. Okay. Greg loop deur die paleis. So it's like a palace turned into town hall kind of vibe. Okay. Hy loop na die studeerkamer van Francesco della Medici. Okay, die kloosterhoofde, die saal van die lelies. These are all rooms that's turned into one big kind of museum that you can walk through. Binne wag oom Dirk. Zander and Ayla are far behind, right? But they watch him. They're in the room as well. They're not going to leave Greg alone. Oom Dirk is in 'n vertrek vol geografiese kaarte. He sits in a room full of huge old maps and a massive globe. Okay. What is the aardbol now in English? Anyway, big globe. And he speaks. O Boetie, ek is bevrees, ek het slegte nuus. He says, but I am afraid I have really bad news for you. Now remember, at this stage, Greg and Xander are pretty much convinced that he is the baker. Okay, so let's see how this conversation goes. Last chapter for this video. Chapter 52. Paul. Obviously, Greg's takes the aggressive route. He accuses Oom Dirk. You are the baker. Okay, Oom Dirk verduidelik dat Greg se ma hom gestuur het. He says, listen, bud, your mom sent me. And he's here to look for Plank. Your mom doesn't know where you are. Okay, and Plank's gone. And that's why he's there. And Plank het Lisa gebel om te sê waar hulle is. Remember, he made that phone call. Okay, that's what got him kicked out of the group and got their house raided by the baker's men in Florence. Okay, but it also put Oom Dirk on their trail. Hy vertel dat Doc Pienaar doodgesteek is in die tronk. This is big news. Okay, he was murdered, stabbed and killed in jail. Okay, remember, so the baker's men probably got to Doc Pienaar. His dad has also been attacked. Okay, shocking news. He fought back, but he's in the ICU. Okay, the baker was serious about these warnings from jail. Remember, they're in Stellenbosch still. When Greg walked past that jail, he was like, you're gonna get taken out. You don't know what connections the baker has. So this is a very sobering, shocking revelation to Greg. Okay, learning about Doc Pienaar, learning about his dad, learning about his mom sending. Okay, but this could all be a story. This could all be a cover just to throw Greg off. If Dirk was really the baker, he had to come with quite a tall story to throw them off their idea that he is the baker. And Xander is onto it straight away, obviously. Xander and Ayla hou die hele gesprek van 'n afstand af top. They're watching, they can't hear what they're saying. They're like, what's going on here? And eventually they're like, no, let's join up with them. Hulle sluit by hulle aan. Xander still thinks Oom Dirk is die baker. And there he says, hy sê dis presies wat die baker sal doen. He'll come, this is what he'll do. He'll come with bad news. And then he would offer you a drink. Okay. And it's probably laced with poison. Okay. And that's what, because Oom Dirk was offering them, so hey, just have a sip of this, man, you'll feel better. And then Xander's like, I'm not stupid. You'll come with bad news, offer me a drink, and then I get poisoned, and you've taken us out. Easy, easy. And come to think of it, it is something that the baker would do. And later in the book, you'll see that's exactly the kind of thing he's capable of. Remember, he makes poison, this guy. He makes poison. He's a poison guy. He's poisoned animals and people. Okay, so in the bottle, there's sherry. Oom Dirk's like, okay, if you're not going to drink, I'm going to drink. He takes a big sip. Then eventually Xander looks him in the eye, stares him down, and then as he looks into Dirk's eyes, he also takes a sip of the sherry. Okay, so the story is moving forward rapidly now. Okay, they're very close to the baker. We've kind of established Oom Dirk is not the baker, although not quite yet. But we'll go on now and see how Greg reacts to all of this, right? So now he knows his dad's in trouble, right? Is he going to stay and look for the baker, or is he going to quit this whole thing and go home? We'll see. We'll see in the next 5 or 6 chapters. Thank you very much. I hope this is helpful. Keep going, keep working hard. See you soon.